Hello and welcome to the third episode of Listen Here. This is a YouTube channel where we try to unpick everything about hearing issues, hearing tech, and well, we have our very own resident expert, Dr. Guoping Li, who knows everything there is to know about hearing and hearing stuff and hearing issues. Anyway, this week, you've probably seen it in the news, we're going to discuss a brand new feature that they're trialing on the BBC iPlayer, which is a slider, isn't it? And this slider allows you to effectively, I think they've got one test program at the moment, adjust the background sound. They've had thousands of complaints on major, multi-million pound dramas where people say that the actors are mumbling, that they can't hear what they're saying. And of course, the sound mixer, the technician who's mixing the background sound and the music and the horses walking up a gravel driveway or whatever there is in the background, it's just too much. So now you can adjust it yourself. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's amazing. I think that's really good. For people with a hearing loss problem, particularly, it's sometimes really difficult to understand the speech. Lots of my clients and patients complain about that, particularly listening, watching a film with slightly accent or with some background music going on. It really makes them difficult to understand what the actor or actress is talking about.
But is this feature not potentially, just a cover-up of a larger issue? So if you've got a viewer without a listening device and they're struggling to hear and they drag this line, think, oh yeah, the voices are clearer now, are these not the people that should be wearing a hearing aid in the first place?
That's a very good point. So for people with even milder hearing loss, then one of the main symptoms or difficulties for them is really listening in noisy places. And actually, we developed lots of tests, which particularly test as a hearing screening tool to test people how well they can understand in noisy environment. And normally, that's a good indication. If you can't hear well in noise, you should just do a quick hearing check, probably.
So interesting. So if you like this BBC slider thing and you are not a hearing aid user, probably a good time to get your hearing tested, right?
Yes, I think that's if your partner can hear well without adjusting it, but you have particular difficulties and you have to adjust it, that's probably a good indication you may need to do a hearing check.
But in that scenario, I guess you would experience this mumble factor in everyday life, whether it's your partner talking to you, trying to listen to something in the theatre, or a conversation or a presentation. It's all going to be, I'm probably sounding quite mumbly. Well, we haven't got background music, so...
Yes, that's quite often true. That people first complain is, as we discussed last session, people complaining about the other people's mumbling and the words becoming less clear. It's not that they couldn't hear at all. They can hear, it's just words is not as clear as the before.
So let's get this clear. Would your advice be, if you have tried this BBC iPlayer thing, and I think it's available on an episode of Casualty at the moment, that's probably changed by the time you've watched this. Right. If they find it improves, would your recommendation be to get a hearing test?
Well, I haven't used that tool yet. It's quite difficult to say. I think that needs lots of validation to see how sensitive it is. But if you have difficulties understanding people in noise situations, and I think that's a good sign. You should do a hearing check. Now, a hearing check is quite available in different shops and also in hospitals and NHS. It's quite easily done. It's best to have a check if you have difficulty understanding speech in noisy situations.
Brilliant. So yeah, that's worth bearing in mind. If you are already a hearing aid user, I understand it's really good. It's great for accessibility for those people watching TV to be able to enjoy the show without having to rely on the subtitles. But if you're not a hearing aid user, maybe it is time that if you find the slider helps to get your hearing checked. Interesting thing. Anyway, that's it for this week. Next week, I think we're going to be talking about young people listening to music too loud. So we will see you then for the next episode of Listen Here. Thanks for watching.